Leading up to December 10th, Human Rights Day, we are very proud to be hosting a series of interviews between youth who debate and members of the European Parliament. That is always important because part of a human right is the right to be heard for young people, Article 12 of the Declaration of the Rights of Children. But it is especially important in this year, which is a year that has immense ramifications for young people, with, of course, both the combination of the corona pandemic as well as the forward-looking fact that the European Union has established a budget for the upcoming 7 years, which will be very important years for the development of those who are currently young. It is therefore my great honor to introduce Mr. Franc Bogovic from the European Party of Freedoms. He is himself a former minister in Slovenia and has had a long and storied career representing in large part the interests of rural communities as well as people who work in agriculture and is now also working on those issues within Brussels. Thank you very much for being here, Mr. Bogovic.
Welcome, with pleasure.
And Mr. Gregor Kokal Golcer, who is a first-year student at the University of Ljubljana International Relations, as well as a star-studded debater who's been debating, I think, for many years and has even represented Slovenia on an international level. Welcome, Gregor.
Hello.
Feel free to get started.
Okay. If there is nothing else, I'll just get right to the questions. So there are a few sections in this interview. The first one is about human rights. The second one is about public and political discourse. And the last one is about the spread of fake news in the European Union. So, Mr. Bogovic, in the past few years, we've seen more people migrating to the European Union than ever before, some because of war, some because of natural disasters, and some simply because they want to have a better life. Many human rights, such as freedom of movement, have been put under question, with a huge number of immigrants dying in the Mediterranean Sea, trying to reach the European Union. My question to you is, how is the EU still upholding the basic convention of human rights when all these scenarios are happening in front of our eyes?
First of all, thanks for this possibility, for this interview. As you said, the topics which I work on it are more connected with agriculture and regional development, but for sure everybody who is in European Parliament, it's necessary to think about this question, and this is very actual, so it's a pleasure to speak with you about this. As you said, yes, in last few years, the migration are bigger than ever, and first, what we can see that a lot of people want to arrive to Europe. Europe is the continent on which I think that quality of life is the best and the freedom of people. And so in this era, digital era, where the information are spread all around, I think that this pushed this migration wave. But also, as you said, there are different problems in Africa, in Middle East, from where these migrants in Europe arrives, connected with war, with climate changes and everything. First, what I want to say, Europe today, on our continent, a lot of people arrive. And I think that we saw the biggest numbers in 2015, 2016. But at the end of the day, I'm sure that there are more people who want to arrive to Europe than Europe can accept and ensure them a quality life in future. And I think that our responsibility is that, first of all, we take care for people who have who are asylum seekers and have a right to get asylum. There is, for me, no question. People who arrive from the war areas and other problems which they have, which is related with their freedom, religion, other things, what is happening. For sure, Europe must ensure them asylum and also to offer them a possibility to come to a safe place. it's a problem that we have this in this area, as I said, in Africa and in Middle East, a lot of this conflicts area, and behind these people who come as to us as asylum seeker, there are a lot of people who want, as you asked and you said, have a better life. And so here I think if we look in the Europe, for example, I asked President of Commission Jean-Claude Juncker in 2015 if anybody in Europe knows how much people we can accept also to ensure them better life per year, that we will integrate them well. I think there is no real answer on this, and we see also on European level connect with, I spoke with my colleagues from France at that time when happened this terrorism attack in Charlie Hebdo, and they explained to us, for example, the problem also in France with people who are second, third generation of immigrant, and if they compare at that time unemployment rate between these people who are as second, third generation of immigrant and the rest of young people, it was the average was 20%, but between them it was around 50%. It means that we have problem to integrate these people and ensure them good quality of life. So I think it's a responsibility also to prepare a condition for integration and work with those people, educate them and offer them a good life. And what is necessary to know that it's a problem also of this that we have a lot of this crime, also organized crime, these smugglers. And I think that Europe must work on different level. First of all, as I said, solve the problem of people who are legal asylum seeker. Then to see inside this rich continent how many people as young people who will arrive we can accept and also ensure them good future. And then at the end of the day, it's necessary also to try to stop with these conflicts in this area and also work against these smugglers.
Okay, thank you. To stay in this section about freedom of movement, I have another question that it's connected to the COVID-19. So we all know that the freedom of movement, as said in the previous question, is one of the basic human rights. And many countries across the European Union have taken immense measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19, including my home country, Slovenia. But there are some countries like Sweden that decided to use another method. They let people protect themselves on their own. And the question here is, on which ethical base do you think that the governments of the EU states are justified to violate the human right of a freedom of movement?
Yes, we have the specific problems in 2020 with COVID-19 crisis. We know that we don't know a lot about this disease, and that we are still learning how to live with these diseases. We thought that this is the Chinese problem, but later we recognized that this is the world problem. And if we compare, you compare here with Sweden, if we compare with people from Asia, when we met them on airport, we saw them with masks many years, and sometimes we didn't understand what is going on, but this is on the basis of their experiences with different diseases which happened in Asia. And for Europe and the other rest of the world, fortunately, it stopped there, but now we have another problem in Europe. In Europe, if we speak about Sweden, we know that this is the country in which sometimes a recommendation to people what to do means for them much more than some legal rules in for example, in our country. If we know this very well, that this is different, and this strategy in Sweden, which, if you compare the figures with other Scandinavian countries, is worse. But at the end of the day, they decided, and in last days we saw that also they have big problems with this way of fighting against this disease. But as I said, sometimes in Sweden recommendations means more than rules in for example, South Europe. Then, if we speak about freedom of movement and basic human rights, yes, in Article 11 of Convention, which speak about human rights, is also that in the case that we protect health and protect the freedom of other people, government can decide for special measures. And we saw that there is the different opinion between people. Somebody thought and still some think that this disease is not a problem, but on the other hand, we see in Slovenia died 800 people. And in this case, I think that if we go back to Slovenia, the government take these measures in the context to how to protect the health of people. And it's clear that it must go, these rules must go through parliament. What happened in our country, in some country didn't. And it must be limited on the time, I don't know, 1 month, 3 weeks or something like this, and to see the consequences of this. So if I'm honest, my opinion in this case is, and I really respect these rules, and I hope that that we will get this vaccine, and that later the situation will be better. And Europe, as also European Union, try to coordinate these actions. We know that we don't have health policies, common health policies like we have common agriculture policy. So that through this disease, we recognize that it's necessary to have more coordination, to have reserve of material, to help each other. And I think this thing is a good part of this crisis, that Europe recognize that it's necessary also to produce medicine, to produce equipment in Europe, and it's necessary to have also this regional help between countries. But on this human rights and these measures which were accepted, I think that European Union, after a few months, also a little bit more coordinate this, and also take a pressure on countries where all these rules are not accepted.
To just give another question concerning this question, do you think that it's up to the government to decide whether or not they're going to violate people's freedom of movement, or do you think it's up to people to decide, if you understand my question?
Yes, I understand. And in the name of people, we have the parliament. And I think that it's necessary to go through national parliament and accept a decision. And it's not okay if the government decides, but the basic thing is that if we speak about such a special measures, how to solve against this, is necessary to go to parliament and get a confirmation in parliament.
Okay, thank you. Another question about the human rights in the European Union, or more likely the concerns about human rights in the European Union. So we can see a rising concern of abuse of human rights in Poland, mainly considering LGBTQIA+ people. We've seen police brutality, so on. There have been a few measures taken by the European Commission and its representative, but they have proven to be ineffective. What other measures are there for the European Union left, and which ones would you support?
As you know, if we speak about the respect of rule of law, We spoke a lot in previous term. We speak a lot in this term, and there is the question of minority, question of justice and other things, and altogether we see that measures which Europe have today are not enough. We have this Article 7, which Parliament tried to put in action, but at the end the Council didn't get agreement, and on the basis of these experiences, and also that we know that European Union can exist if the countries will respect rule of law. These things about democracy can exist if there is no corruption, judiciary system work, freedom of media, and also freedom of people and human rights. And now European Commission prepared the first report about level of rule of law for each country. And I agree with this, that the Commission prepared this. It's prepared on the base with debate in country, with government, with NGO, with others, and we get a better report than we had only debate in Parliament, and on the base of debate of Parliament, we put pressure on different countries. I think I support this, that we have, first of all, the annual report of rule of law for each country. And now we are in big debate for next financial framework, for our next generation EU. We have also debate of respecting of rule of law and possibility that with majority also in Parliament and also a qualified majority in the Council, you can stop to pay the European cohesion money and other money. So this financial pressure is now a new tool how to ensure that the rule of law will be respected. And part of this is also the question of minority, LGBT. We spoke about abortion in Poland. I support this because I think that the democracy and rule of law we build each day, and it's not enough to just be member of European Union and you are a democratic country. It doesn't work. So it must be that somebody follow the level and respect the basic principles of democracy. And as I said, I support this, that first of all we get annual report for each country, that we get also recommendation what to do. And now with connection with financial things, I think it will be a more useful tool than it was in past.
Okay, thank you. Now I would like to move to the second question and second part of this interview, which is about public and political discourse. And my first question is concerning the rising anti-EU movement. So the United Kingdom has become officially the first state that left the European Union this year in 2020. And we've already seen this rising of anti-EU movement happening in Poland, France, and in the previous Greek election also in Greece. What kind of measures do you think the European Commission should take in order to minimize this anti-EU movement happening right now?
Yes, we know that in first 10 years of this century, when was this enlargement process, and it was, we can say, nice time, and there was no reason to have any problems with anti-EU movements, and all we were sure in all countries, either in old members and new members, this is something good what we are doing. And also, if we are honest, there were before financial crisis, we didn't have real crisis, and the life was better each day, bigger market, more opportunities for people, either in old members, new members, and it was nice time. And then started this crisis, first financial crisis, migration crisis, and now we have this COVID crisis. And we all the time, we are in some crisis, and usually we don't have enough fast or enough good answers on this crisis. And I think that these are the basic reasons why this anti-movement starts. And on the base of this crisis, of these problems, there starts also some nationalisms in some countries. And we saw, you mentioned here a Brexit, and we know very well Mr. Farage. His basic goal was how to do this Brexit, how to leave European Union. And he was not successful before, but in the time of solving this crisis, where you need sometimes also solidarity in financial crisis, you need solidarity in migration crisis, and there was enough engine that he succeeded. And we got this on the base of good results for EU election in 2014. Mr. Cameron, I think he made a big political mistake, that he said that he will organize a referendum. We know that this was the second referendum after referendum how to join the European Union, and there was many reasons. Also, a big migration crisis in 2015 during this debate, and there was, as we saw, more votes against be member European Union than stay in European Union. But it's interesting that after Brexit, the level of support between people in other countries was higher. And I think that this was the answer which shows that also in Great Britain, we know that what European Union was the most often question on Google, and people didn't recognize that it can happen. But what is good, as I said, in European Union, we saw that if we want to solve migration crisis, if we want to solve this COVID crisis, we must work together, either to solve health crisis and especially economic crisis, and to work on this global market. And I think that now for people in other countries, it's more clear that we need the European Union, but on another side, we need clear answers in crisis. And sometimes we didn't have answer, or we have not fast enough, or answer was not good. And it was, as I said, engine for this nationalist movement, which goal is nationalism and be against the European Union. So I think that what Europe must do to have real solidarity inside European Union. We saw in COVID crisis, these answers stopped this. In Italy, we were on critical level in springtime after this Bergamo crisis. But later, when we ensure this next financial framework plus next generation EU, I think that this is the real answer, and that we work together to solve problems of health crisis, to help countries, not to avoid to deliver the medicine or mask or other things. So I think that the basic is that government find answers, and answers must be connected with European Union, and also to inform people that European Union is not something what we it's forever if we will not work on this. And also, especially for for young people like you and other, it's sometimes I feel that people don't understand that this free movement, Euro, Erasmus, these things are because we are in European Union, and we think, okay, this is all right, we have this, and go on. Sorry, it's not forever. If we must fight for democracy, we must fight for this Europe and work on this, and try to find things which connect us, which go in this direction of EU mindset. And I think that we have more than enough thing. Sometimes we don't explain enough. Sometimes we see only problems, not good things. And I think that first of all, Europe should better solve and faster solve the problems in such a crisis, to find agreement, and on the other side also to explain to people, to make a little bit PR of this, what European Union is and why we have some things. This is because we are EU member.
Okay, thank you. To stay a little bit on this conversation about globalism versus nationalism, let's also talk a little bit about Trump, since he's a very controversial figure in today's politics, because we have seen many politicians across the European Union, also the Prime Minister of Slovenia, the president of the party with which you have been joined in the previous elections for the European Parliament, practically fanning over the current US President, Mr. Donald J. Trump. So Trump has been known for his anti-globalist policies, for example, demanding the European Union to spend more money on the military and purposely neglecting global issues such as climate change. My question to you is, which policies introduced by Mr. Donald Trump are worthy of celebration in the European Union?
First, to clarify about this, that I have been joined to them. In Slovenia, we have 3 EPP parties. And within both term, 2014 and 2019, we decided to have 2 lists. I was 5 years ago on the list, my party and another, Nova Slovenia, made a joint list. And now we decided that Slovenska ljudska stranka made a joint list with SDS, which president is Janez Janša. And as you know, in Europe, we have close to 60 parties which are members of European People Party, and between us there are sometimes also big differences. But if we speak about Trump, we see that first of all that USA are divided perhaps at never before. We also saw last days what happened in Washington and other things. And the problem is that society is very divided, and so this result. And as it looks, Mr. Biden won, and in January we will have a new president. And I can be honest that I never like this policy, America First. I think that this is the policy which made many changes all around the world, and for the European Union works much better in multilateral world, where you have rules, where you have agreement, and you don't have Twitter policy or autocrat policy like you have in, I don't know, Russia, Turkey, China, and other things. And I think for Europe is better, first of all, that we go back to this multilateral arrangement, agreement, that we have back, that it's great for me that USA come back to Paris climate agreement. It's great that they come back to World Health Organization, that we will solve these problems, either health problems, climate problems together, and otherwise the Europe with I don't know, with 9% of emissions cannot solve the world. So I think I prefer, and I think it's better for the world, it's better for the Europe, and also for my country, Slovenia. I think it's better that we have such a world in which agreements are respected. So I hope that European Union and also other countries will have better this transatlantic coordination. We also see that In last years, we spoke a lot about European defense policy connected with NATO, but there are some things what we must speak about more. And I prefer much more the president of USA who will work on this multilateral work, not on the policy America first.
Yeah. Since the Trump presidency, this term of fake news hasn't only become popular in the United States, but also in the European Union, since we have kind of a rising concern about fake news. So when we talk about fake news, we usually only talk about spreading the actual misinformation, lying about facts and so on. But there's also another segment of fake news where media houses are actively trying to misinform, manipulate an average reader by purposely manipulating things like graphs and statistics by showing them in a different way that would actually tell what the real situation looks like. Should these acts of manipulation, since they are actively trying to misinform an average citizen of the European Union, also be considered as fake news?
Media have a very important role, but what we see, this media space and space of information changed a lot in last years. Also, this social media changed a lot, and we have more channels for information. What I see also, if I compare American media space and European media space, we know that in America all the time it was market, and all the time for the owners and their policy, Fox News for pro-Trump, other pro-Democrat and other things, and sometimes it's clear. And this is also behind this big market. In Europe, we have this system that after Second World War we decided we will have also this national media, which should bring professional information and information to which people can believe. I think that in media space, social media also changed a lot media space, that at the end of the day, people like short information and they like sensationalism. And here, I think there is one competition between this national media space, like RTV in Slovenia, and other commercial medias. And it means what is also one of the questions which was raised in this rule of law report for Slovenia, for example, that we don't have the clear ownership of media situation. And we see in Slovenia, in newspapers, the owners of newspapers are not people who were connected with journalism for centuries or decades, but these are people who are part of business space, and people about whom were a lot of debate of their privatization system and other things. I will not mention the names, but we know we met them between newspapers, radio station, different journals, and sometimes I'm sure that their objective is not to have professional media, but to cover their back, and to through media have their own policy. And at the end of the day, I think that we have less and less professionalism in media. There are media which cover some goals, but it's not so clear like in USA that, this media support, I don't know, this support Trump, this support Biden. But here is something what we try to show as media space, which want to deliver the good information, but behind this wish there are also many interests. And I think that people here are confused. Sometimes there are also financial interests, but also political interests. And this is the problem that, for example, for my country, if we compare, for example, with Germany and France, you have bigger market. You have you have less money. To commercial money from state-owned company, but the sponsor money to media is from the real sector. And I think that the problem of critical mass also, and problem of professionalism, and at the end of the day, people, if you compare these different information, people don't know what's the real. And I think that if we speak about these media houses, as I said, if we speak about situation in my country, I think that there is not enough professional media. They try to be as independent media, but they have clear political or financial agenda behind this. And this is the problem that also the trust to this media is lower and lower.
Okay, so to stay a little bit in this area of fake news, because more analytical and empirical evidence on online consumption of genuine and fake news shows that strong newspaper brands continue to attract large audiences from all across the political spectrum for direct access to newspaper websites. But real news consumption on these sites draws the fake news consumption. It kind of seems like that fake news almost sell better than genuine real news. And it kind of seems like that people want to read what they already believe in. So which measures, especially legal measures, should you take to prevent the spread of fake news or this trend of fake news?
Yeah, it's really not easy to do this because media freedom is something what is the base for working democracy. Censorship is never good. But I think that what it's necessary to do is prohibit this hate speech, speech against minorities, and I think in this direction where European Union tried to push the pressure to digital platforms goes in this direction. What I also supported was about copyrights. This directive was that these digital platforms should pay if they use from journalists news and get money through this, pay to authors of these articles, that this ensure them more professional work. Otherwise, we go in this direction that the easiest way today is to polarize the society and put information which people like to hear, and build stronger and stronger left, right, I don't know which part, green, red, but this way that is this direction that we go to this sensationalism, that we go to also fake news. It doesn't matter, people like to read this. Perhaps tomorrow we will write 2 small sentences that it was wrong, but doesn't matter, people heard and paid for this, what happened yesterday. And I think this is the media space for me is one of the big problem also of working democracy, and sometimes we don't speak about this, and sometimes we underestimate. We don't we speak about politicians, we speak about business, we speak about, I don't know, doctors, we speak about science, and sometimes affairs in there. We try to blame different groups, but sometimes this mirror should be shown also in front of media and to look this. I follow this especially in my country. We know the role if few media decide to build some new name in half a year. This is a new prime minister, and after half a year in the same media they blame him like they support him before, and some this is unprofessional. And also I think that for sure there is the role of media to follow the situation, to criticize what's wrong, but to be objective and also to have some level of professionalism in their work. But sometimes the easiest way is to link to some sensational news, to spend money, or to make these spins that people are thinking about stupid things, but the basic and the important things are going on different side. And I will not speak here if I am if we are Slovenian, if we speak about Slovenia, it's on both sides. No, it doesn't matter that, and unfortunately, sometimes we don't know to whom somebody works. Sometimes we know, and it's clear that which are goals. Sometimes media want to mislead what they are going on, but if you know this political, economical space a little better, you can see what is going on behind and what is the real, and what is the, for me, the worst thing of this is that at the end of the day, the real decision makers are not politicians, are not those prime ministers they put on the scene, but the real decision makers are behind, and we never vote about them.
Yeah, maybe setting up a national curriculum for debate would help the youth recognize what the fake news are and what the real news are. Maybe we should discuss that in the European Parliament. But other than that, to conclude this interview, thank you for your answers. But my last question to you is, I didn't put it in the mail, but what vision for the European Union do you see in the next 10 years?
Yes, we live in very fast and very changing world, and I think that it's necessary in European Union. Really, we speak about new financial framework, next generation, and EU. We speak about vision of development of Europe, and I think that we must find the way how we can go in. I agree with these directions: green, digital, resilient Europe. I think it's necessary. These are the right answers, and we must work together. And what is necessary sometimes to also to learn more about each other, and at the end of the day have a normal democratic conversation between countries, and find the good solutions for everybody. For example, in Europe, we should speak more about demographic. We should speak, for me, about more about family policy. We should speak more about the problems that we have, especially this part of Southeast Europe, when we see big brain drain, and it's not the solution for Europe that the best students will go to Germany, the Netherlands, Sweden. It's if we are a real continent that we work to have and respect this solidarity, it's necessary to also to ensure to all European countries that they will come closer with the level of development to European average, and then the situation is much better. So first of all, real honest relation inside European Union, to know each one better, to respect these basic rules, or basic rule of law, and basic principles of democracy. That's the only way on which we can work. And if we look around us, I think that it's for us, as I said, it's good to work and to have this bigger role in this multilateral world, and the role also, if we come, for example, to migration crisis, to solve real problems, to work in Africa, to help to develop the continent, to develop, I don't know, agriculture, develop other things, that people can have good life also all around. First of all, I hope that there will be less this war situation, that there will be no reason for these disasters which are happening around us. And here European Union again should try to get a stronger role to have this foreign policy more organized and with bigger influence. We have this soft power. This is one what we can use, but to defense European Union, and also to is this NATO integration plus EU defense program. So first of all, I think we live in the world where is enough goods for everybody. It's a question of delivering, and I think that this philosophy of social market social economy which European Union has, I think this is the right way that we are more honest to all people, because as we see also in European countries, if we will have I don't know, in for example, as I explained in France, 50% unemployed people between young people in living in metropolitan areas, we will not have a happy future. It's necessary to solve these problems and look at them and try to find the solution, not to avoid these real problems, first to recognize it and then to find the answer, and it will be better for us.
Thank you for your answers, Mr. Bogovic. And at this time, I would also like to thank the idea for this opportunity, because I think it's really important for the young people's voices to be heard.
Thanks to you, and I work a lot, and I go and I visit many high schools, primary schools, faculties, and I think it's very important that you play important role, and that you and we must be connected and listen and work together. So I will work on these topics more on, as you said at the beginning, on the topic of smart villages, which is my idea how to develop also rural areas which are don't have digital gap, and we see how it's important for resilient society that we have similar condition for living. And sometimes I can say that I have a privilege now that I am in my hills and where is no problems with these measures, and we have a lot of things to do. So that each of us must work on the fields where he can, if he feel can do something, and be honest and fair to each other.
Thank you very much to both of you, both to Gregor, for I think what were very insightful and very probing questions at times, but also to Mr. Franc Bogovic, because I think that we very rarely receive such, I think, lengthy, in-depth answers when we talk about political debates. So it's been a real honor that we've been able to receive such a large vision for the European Union and all the work that the Union and you personally do. So once again, thank you very much. And we will see this interview as part of a series of interviews discussing the future of Europe between young people and politicians. And thank you for your cooperation in all of these things.
Thank you for these opportunities, and all the best.